Welcome to this week's WTOL 11 Weather Impact. I'm meteorologist Matt Willoughby, and this week we are breaking down something, of course, with fall coming up. We are breaking down how does the sun angle impact our temperatures throughout the year. So, of course, as our fall equinox gets closer and we start to get cooler days, at some point, well, that sun angle also starts to change as you go throughout the entire year. So when we talk about decreasing sun angle, typically that sun angle does change, at least throughout the seasons. So pretty much that season changes because of the changing sun angles. So typically you'll see a higher sun angle during the summer months, and that gets a little lower throughout the fall months and even throughout December. Yeah, that sun angle is rather low, which causes those much cooler temperatures as you go throughout those winter months. Now, as you look at that decreasing sun angle, if you have a higher sun angle, well, pretty much that greener grass is definitely going to be the case with more direct energy focused on the ground, heating it more and keeping it more alive. But hey, once you get into those winter months, well, that grass starts to die and it starts to get a little faded tan color. Well, that's because that lower sun angle is, even though the same amount of energy is spread across it, it is spread over a larger area, meaning it is getting heated less and less from those sun and sun angles. As we break this down even more, we're talking about sun angles for us as we go throughout today. It's around 50 degrees for a sun angle, not the temperature, but that sun angle right around 50 degrees. But by December 1st, well, that sun angle only going to be right around 25 degrees, and that will be at least less sun rays that are at least not as direct, that is. Let's look at that sun angle by the season. Right around winter, I talked about this 25 degrees for a sun angle during the winter, at least during the summer. That's when we see our highest sun angle, which is around 72 degrees, and also summer is when we typically see our warmest temperatures, right? And eventually by the spring, we'll start to see that sun angle increase as we go throughout the spring months. And of course, as we are coming up on fall, well, that autumn sun angle will be right around 48 degrees. As you look at that autumn equinox coming up, though, that is pretty much, to explain it for you, it's pretty much when we see at least equal nights. So that autumn equinox, which is the first beginning of fall, going to be September 22nd at 8:43, and that's pretty much the sign of fall beginning. So when we look at this, breaking it down for you, pretty much that sun is right around the equator, and the sun is directly actually over the equator, and that's why we get the name equinox in Latin, which is equal nights. Now, we're breaking this down even more when it comes to sun angles, and of course, those sunsets as well. Of course, I know a lot of us don't like those earlier sunsets as we get more later into the year, but that sunset, by the time we start fall, will be right around 7:30 for that sunset time. And as you know, we are gaining, or at least losing, more sunlight as we go throughout each week and each day and month. So that daylight for that first day of fall coming up, going to be right around 12 hours and 8 minutes for September 21st into the 22nd. And that daylight loss since June 21st, when it's typically when we saw our latest sunset. Remember those 9 p.m. sunsets? Yeah, we've lost about 3 hours and 14 minutes of daylight so far since those latest sunset and early sunrise times. Now, as we break down the next couple of months, typically when we go into September 21st and into the 22nd, we're going to see about 11 hours of sunlight out there with that sunrise right around 7:21 and that sunset time right around 7:31. Of course, we're going into October, though. We're going to see a later sunrise, but an earlier sunset. And that sunset, yes, at least 42 as we go throughout your October. We're going to break it down for November as well. You see 9 hours and 37 minutes. Yeah, we're seeing a less and less sunlight out there. And that sunset time going to be late, 7:30. But that sunset time is going to be 5:08. So likely going to be a dark, and that daylight saving times will in fact come to an end. So when we talk about later sunsets, or at least earlier sunsets and less daylight, well, you really need to get your enough vitamin D during those shorter sunlight days. And of course, as you get cooler as well and into the fall and winter months. So what you need to do, at least spend at least 20 minutes outdoors during those fall and winter months. I know it's cold at times, but of course, at least spend that to get enough vitamin D and to make sure you don't have that vitamin D deficiency. So also eat foods like with vitamin D. So that includes eggs, mushrooms. I love some mushrooms on anything. And of course, even a good breakfast that contains eggs and orange juice will help you get enough of vitamin D as well. And lastly, at least open up those curtains in the home. If it is too cold to go outside, and as many know, Northwest Ohio tends to get pretty cold. Of course, still open up those curtains if it is a sunny day, or at least a cold and sunny day, to get some of that vitamin D, even though those sun angles are not as greater as they are usually into the spring and summer months. So this is just a few tips to at least take as we go throughout the fall and winter months, as we begin to see at least those shorter and smaller sun angles that will be impacting our area as we go throughout the next couple of months. I'm meteorologist Matt Willoughby. Thanks for watching this week's WTOL 11 Weather Impact.